like to welcome everyone to the conversation where we talk about everything Cowboys. My favorite team, your favorite team, America's team. Here with your host, Coach Marv.
Cowboy Nation, what's going on with y'all? What's going on with you, man? Friday, 2 days before a very big football game. A very big football game, as my title says, big game for confidence. This is one of the biggest games of the year that we have had in a while. A lot of people's talking about, as we fill into the room, man. I think some of the people that came into the room, man, they want to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. Want to try to get these subscribers up. Need 270 more, 275 more subscribers to hit the goal of 1,000 subscribers, and we're gonna see if we can try to work since we back and moving on, and try to see if we can get to that 206, that 1,000 subscribers plateau as a goal going into the holiday season, and that would be a great Christmas present for old Coach Marv. So if you get a chance to like, comment, please share this video to your rest of your Cowboy fans or football fans, because you're gonna say, well, we're gonna learn something when you deal with Coach Marv. Coach Marv is gonna teach you some stuff about. That's why we're Real Talk. We're gonna teach you some stuff about the ins and outs of football. As my title said today, man, big game for confidence. If we're trying to make a run, it's a couple of things that's got to happen this week. One, as you may have seen in some of my short videos, is that we got to build a consistency, and we got to build an attitude of saying that we're going to do it again. And we're going to have to consistently play at a consistent level and a mature level, because consistency is a part of maturity. If you look around in your life, man, when you were younger, you weren't as consistent and doing certain things. As when you guys get older, you get more wise about things. More time when you get older, you get on the routine, and you consistently do that routine because you say that routine works for you. When you're younger, you just do things off the hip. You're trying to find your way. You're trying to find what's your groove. Well, that's the same thing that works in football, people. That's why I always say football and team sports, or team sports in general, and with football is the greatest team sport in sports. With it having so many moving parts, I equate that more closely to what life is about, because you got a lot of things you're working on with life, with a lot of people you're dealing with, and stuff of that nature. And that makes football a very, very complex thing, and it is a microcosm of life. And the more consistent you are as a football team, the more consistent you're gonna play, and the better your results are gonna be. And when teams talk about they want an identity, when teams talk about they want culture, and we're still talking about that because that was the foundation of this season, and that was what Schottenheimer is trying to build here. When you start building consistency is part of your culture. Consistency is a part of your identity. That's why you can see teams like San Francisco, and I don't want to, pat San Francisco too much on the back, but they can lose players They can lose quarterbacks. They can lose great players. They may not be as good as they was with those players, but you don't see a real drop off in their play because they have a consistency of how they go about and is built into their football program. That's when teams go on runs. Kansas City that same way. They may be losing now, but there's a consistency that has kept them at top for 8 to 9 years. So there's a consistency that goes on. I talked to a friend of mine. He was telling me, he said, when he said in one of my videos, he said, Coach Marv, what you mean about consistency in football teams? And I gave the analogy of the military. The military, the Army, gets soldiers from all over the world, all over the country. But there's a consistent way that they go about doing things. So they can get guys from all over the place, but those players fit in, and they may change up here and there, but those players, those soldiers fit the consistency of what the Army presents. That's how good football programs do. Regardless of what the players change in Alabama when Nick Saban was there, regardless of players changing, regardless of what the coach changes, they may hit change. They may change some of their philosophies. They may change some of their schemes, but the consistency of how they go about their work never changed. And the Cowboys are now trying to form a consistency because we hadn't won 2 games in a row yet. So this game here, coming off of the Raiders game, is a crucial game to say, hey, we can put two good, solid performers together to try to build a consistency of how we do things. We want to build a consistency of how we go about our work. Can we build a consistency about how we go about our work? Are we going to build that? Are we going to start to build that consistency of where we keep hearing that word? I keep saying it. It's this word that Schottenheimer said. It's a word that's around in the locker room. They understand, football players understand who have played on good football teams, that they're consistent in their level of effort and they get in a groove, and that's how they go on runs. But you can't go on a run up and down. So we want to see if we are going to get better come Sunday. Better than we were with the Raiders. Because we got a lot of moving parts with the defense. Quentin Williams and the defense, it doesn't happen overnight that a defense falls together and gets that chemistry together. Yeah, it might look good, but if the effort and how they go about their work is good, we can get a consistent effort, and the talent is going to help us get a little bit better. But talent is not everything. Talent is there, but the way you work and go about your business is the key to making the talent, maximizing the talent that you have. You ever heard someone says, "There's talent, but do they fit? Do your talent fit you?" Yeah, we can have talented players, but they may not fit together. I think these talented players fit together, but they got to work together to get a groove together. But while we're working to get that groove, and it may have some growing pains here and there, we have to, for a unit, we have to have a consistent game plan and build an identity of how we play football. What makes us tick? I talked about this early in the season when I was talking about before the season started, when we were talking about culture. Every football team needs to find out what makes them rock and roll. What you mean by that, coach? What you mean by rock and roll? Everybody knows what makes them rock and roll. I put it like this. Look at your life. Some people know when they get up in the morning, they got to have that fresh cup of coffee. That gets them in their mode. Some people need to get that good breakfast or that Mountain Dew or do certain things that get them started. Some, with me, read my daily bread. Devotion gets me started. Cup of coffee, little devotion, I get started. That gets me into my mode. When I was coaching and when I do the live shows, y'all see me with a cup. I have a cup drinking out of a Cowboy cup. Most times that's coffee, black coffee. When I was coaching, I would drink black coffee, a big thing of black coffee right before the game starts. That's the thing that gets me going. That gets me into my mode, that caffeine boost. One time I was doing espresso right before the game. That's the one that gets me going. So when you're dealing with a football team, you got to find out what makes you rock. What makes you get started? I remember a couple years ago. Do y'all remember a couple years ago when we played the 49ers in the playoff game and Debo Samuels came out and they had the boom box and they came out the locker room? Now, it may be little things like that gets them started. But as in a playing sense, what got them started, what makes them rock, Schottenheimer, I think that's not Schottenheimer, but their coach, the San Francisco coach, said we need 30 carries. We need 30 running attempts. They know what makes them rock. McVay says the same thing. They know what makes them rock. Now we're trying to find an identity that what gets us in the rhythm. I think running the ball has gotten us in rhythm because the running back this year, the guy that everybody been talking about has done a great job. He's getting more and more confident. I think at this particular point in time in the season, we have to lean not solely on the running game, but we cannot get to the point where we got these great wide receivers on the outside that we forget the physical component that makes it easier for Dak to throw the ball because it sets up the pass blocking. See, it's very easy to get caught up in saying we're going to have 2,000-yard wide receivers and they're dynamic, and to leave it and get away from the physical component and just go that way. What happens is, if teams start out physical out offense, they're going to start cutting our receiver things down because they're going to start getting on the quarterback because we're not going, when the other team has the dominance physically, they can squeeze you. And when you start playing better defenses, they're going to squeeze you and it's going to hurt the passing game. So when we look at this game that we're going into today, this weekend, we got to still run the football like we did last game. We got to run the football. If you run the football, if you're consistent with trying to run the football against the Eagles, you're going to be able to get big plays in the passing game. But you can't go in there and just say we're just going to throw it around. You're going to get a lot of attempts to throw it around, but our running game, beating on them, is going to allow Dak to have the time he needs to really pick them apart. So, again, we're building confidence. Again, with the defense, we're building confidence with the defense. That we talked about Quentin Williams and getting comfortable. We talked about our defensive line rotation getting comfortable of people knowing their role, kind of knowing when they're going to be in the game, kind of knowing when they're going to attack, knowing their roles about what they want to do, how they go about it, playing together. Linebackers getting a little bit more familiar with the speed of the game because it's live. Overshawn, the linebacker we got from the Cincinnati, all those people are gonna have to get their feet wet, and as we go along, if we're consistent, we get better. If we're up and down, we'll see leaps and ups and downs. We're trying to get away from that. But the key to our defense getting better is, and I'm going to go back to this, and I've said this before. Nobody listened when Coach Marv said this, but I can guarantee you football minds are listening to me. The biggest issue of our football team has been physicality, or of our defense has been physicality. You cannot play defense as a finesse defense. You cannot play defense with cornerbacks that are not willing to be aggressive tacklers. You cannot play good defense with a secondary that's going to be just trying to get guys on the ground as they get 8-9 yards, or just worried about covering guys, but not really attacking the football and rallying. It's not going to work. And if the outside and the back end do not attack the football and be aggressive, it's going to make our front end, our defensive linemen, and all this stuff we done got with the upgrades there, going to start making them look null and void. Because you're going to start seeing teams going to attack the perimeter and get away from this shielding those guys and getting away from that, and saying that your corners and your safeties going to have to make plays. With all the good linebackers, all the good defensive line we got, this is an opportunity for either Young or some of these guys to say, hey, I got a pass rush for a lot of guys. I'm not going to allow them just to throw the ball underneath and run for first downs. We're going to bust some butts coming up and hitting people. And if we can start to see that, we're going to see great difference. I need our safeties to come to the table. We made one great move on this defense, and it wasn't Quentin Williams. And Quentin Williams did great. I'm not saying that, I'm not dogging Quentin Williams. He did great. It wasn't Overshawn. Overshawn didn't play as much, but the linebackers played better. These are one of the greatest move we made. The greatest move we made is we got Elam off the field. Because you can go back and watch film all year, and you're going to watch a guy that has given up hidden yardage because he refused to tackle. And I know some of y'all like that say, well, corners don't play. And always we want to use, no. I'm going to say this again. I've been saying this for weeks, and I'm going to say it again. Somebody else is going to echo this, but if this defense wants to get better, let's just try being a little bit more physical, and let's see how it works. So when we watch this game and we watch them throw the ball underneath, we watch Jalen Hurts run the ball, we watch Saquon Barkley try to get to the outside, and we see lackluster effort to corral. We see not game tackling. We see guys getting hit and breaking tackles and getting more yards, then we know we're going to be in trouble. If we see us aggressive on the outside tackling and hitting people, we can win this game by 2 touchdowns. If we come physicality wise. I know people in my job, and I'm already predicting us to win by 2 touchdowns because in the history of the Cowboys and the Eagles rivalry, it's very few times they done beat us 2 times in a row, 2 back-to-back seasons. And I really believe in my heart of heart we are more talented, but we're less inconsistent. We're way more inconsistent than they are. And they already know what their identity is. They know what makes them rock. Even with their hiccups, even with their offense struggling, they still know what makes them rock. And if you know yourself, it's hard for people to beat you. But we got to bring the physical. That's the key to our defense, people. Y'all want to talk about before Quentin Williams came. The key was let's get a little bit more physical on the back end. And let's see how it works. Because when I went to the game in Green Bay, we lost that game because our back end was soft. Yeah. From Trayvon Diggs, and I know people going to don't talk about Diggs, yeah. From Trayvon Diggs to Elam, which was worse than Trayvon. But it was not a priority for our defensive backs to be hitters. And that gives up hidden yardage. Anytime a quarterback throws 28 of his 31 completions less than 7 yards in the air, that's telling you something, people. That's telling you that they say you're not going to rally. They feel they can get a 4-yard catch and get 7 yards and get 10 yards. That's got nothing to do about tight coverage. That's got about react, and coming up and putting guy on the ground. Get them out of that game plan. Because when they come up short a couple of times, they'll get out of that game plan. So, consistency, physicality. We want to physicality, consistency, and we want to be able to still establish the run. Remember what I said. I told you always with my shows, we're always gonna go back to stuff that because everything is the same. Ain't nothing changed. I always said this. In every game, in the first quarter, there's an alpha and a beta decided. In the football game, between the first quarter and a half, one team is going to establish that they're going to be the alpha, and one team is going to be the beta. And really, it don't really change during the whole game. It may change the next game, but you must set that dominance. You set that dominance, the alpha usually gets the benefit of the doubt of the calls. The Fisher's been that way all, the aggressor, the calls go to the aggressor. Not the person that's coming back trying to be aggressive, the team that's already being the aggressor. Turnovers usually go to the aggressive team. And the tempo and the tone is set by the aggressive team. So in that first quarter and a half, you have to establish that you're going to be the alpha. So that's why the running game and the play action game and tackling is paramount early on. So, and people talked about it now. So we're gonna talk about one. I'm not gonna be on here long because it's a Friday. I got some things I got to get done because I got a big weekend planned. But listen, it was an interesting thing on Twitter today, and I'm gonna share my screen with you. That some people coming up with this thing about Tony Romo because Dak Prescott is very close to having the all-time leading yardage in Cowboy history, and people want to compare him to Tony Romo. And somebody put up a stat of Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, um, Troy Aikman, Roger Staubach. One person they left off that stat list is one of the greater quarterbacks in Cowboy history, which was Danny White. Danny White has some of the better numbers, if you want to talk about, and some of the better Cowboys offenses in the history of the Cowboys. Danny White was the quarterback there. Now, only thing Danny White got, reason Danny White didn't get the acclaim that these other guys got, even though Romo ain't win a championship, and even though Dak ain't win a championship, Danny didn't win a championship with the teams in the 70s, and he went to three straight NFC championship games, and they lost. But Danny White did some great things in Dallas at the quarterback, and he had some great numbers. But I don't think he gets the acclaim he has because he came right after Roger Staubach. And he was a great punter. He could have been a Hall of Fame punter. So he did double duty. And Danny White doesn't get a lot of acclaim he should get. But I was interested about the post. Let me see if I can share the screen with you. And it was on my X account. Let me see if I got the X account. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. I had the X account, and this was the post that I had. And let me show you what the post it came from. Here's the thought, and I think Jeff Kavanaugh was saying, forever they must pick a side, and I want to start this off about the Cowboy fans and the Cowboys media. Here we are with a big game. We came off a game against the Raiders, and we're trying to build. And I say this, and I'm not trying to start no controversy with our content creators, but I am saying this, and I hope they hear me. Here we are, content creators, right? We want solutions, but there's a lot of angles that we go at that really can cause more damage than they can cause help. And I just want to be honest with you. First of all, with this article here, why are we talking about, even though we know Dak Prescott's coming up on the yardage lead, what purpose does this serve for us to have the Cowboy Nation divided to talk about a guy that's no longer here, Tony Romo, and your quarterback? Why would we want to even? Listen, the people in that building and our Cowboy fans, and people may say, "Well, Coach Marv, you in this thing too, right?" But we must stop going at topics just because we know that they're gonna be talking points. Because if our voice matters, which I know, and which my man Boss Cowboys taught me this. Even when we start little fires, we need to be focused on the sacrifice of this team. Makes no difference who, how, what. Because that's the only way we're going to do this. To get to the goal. Because we're in a hole. So when you're in the hole, when you're in the army, you in the foxhole and the bullets are flying and you getting surrounded, you can't go in there saying, well, I'm better. You need to get this. Well, we need to lean on you more. Listen here. Get the play done. And if it's going to a good player, fine, make the play. But this picking and had to go here and got to go there and got to do this and come on, man. This ain't the time. That's a off-season talk. It's not an in-season conversation. because we have a problem with consistency, and we need all hands over. I'm telling you, if we start pushing the narrative of somebody needs to do this or they need to, I hate to say that, run through this person, run through that, I'm guarantee you, it's going. If it's more noise talking about it, it's going to cause problems in that locker room. It is. We don't even need to hype the competition. These guys got competition enough, and they feed into this social media stuff. But this subject right here about Dak and Roma, why? But I said it was an interesting part of this. If you look at this, look at the stats here. Tony Romo, okay, they were talking about yardage, but Tony Romo, 248 touchdowns, 117 interceptions. Good, but in this list, Dak has had the best percentage of touchdowns and interceptions. Look at Troy Aikman and Roger Staubach. Troy almost threw the same amount of interceptions that he threw touchdowns. Very close. So I saw that, and I'm not ripping Roger or Troy, but here, and I want to say, when I say but, the next thing I'm about to say is the truth. I put on here and said, wow, Troy Aikman's stats are interesting. On this post about Dak and Romo. Look at the interceptions and the touchdowns for Aikman and Roger. It shows, but this is what it shows. It shows that team winning is more than just the quarterback play. Can we beat Philadelphia if Dak doesn't play well? Philadelphia beats teams when Jalen Hurts don't play well. That's why I say that they're a more complete football team. Not more talented, but they understand how to win games. They don't have to play perfect football. But teams winning is more than just quarterback play. But you know what society does, and society, and why this conversation about quarterbacks and how many Super Bowls they win? But we judge teams on the quarterback play. We'll say a team got a chance because they got a quarterback that we like. We judge teams on how their quarterback play. And I ain't saying the quarterback's not important, but we judge team on the quarterback play. And then I said, and quarterbacks, and we judge quarterbacks on what their team didn't do. So if the team didn't win, we judged the quarterback and said he couldn't get them there. Regardless of what the defense is, regardless of what the special teams gave up touchdowns, regardless of people drop passes, regardless of the coaching, if they don't win, it's all on the quarterback. And if they win, it's all on the quarterback. And Boss Cowboy made a very interesting post, because I tagged him in this. And he made it interesting, said, and let me see if I can find Boss comment. Let me see if I can find. Let me see. Oh, here's his Boss comment. And Boss was so on point with this. He said nobody had more talent than Aikman. He had a number one defense, what Philadelphia had last year. number one defense. Kansas City had a top 3 defense the last 3 years. Patrick Mahomes is being helped. It takes teams to win. Over 4 years, every weapon. He had the playmaker, but Kevin Williams and Alvin Harper, they weren't first round draft picks, but they did their job of making plays. Emmitt Smith, a first rounder, but they did their job of making plays. And the offensive linemen that they put together from different genres or whatever, none of them were the first round, but they did their job and they contribute. Even the guys off the bench, the guys in the special teams, they all contribute to do a job on their job at a high level for the team to win. And yes, we gave the quarterback a lot of credit. Yes, the quarterback. But there was a Super Bowl, one of those Super Bowls when Troy had the concussion thing. He didn't play well in that, and they won. The first Super Bowl, he played well, but the defense got 7 turnovers. I'm not saying that Troy is not a great quarterback, but I'm saying that the narrative that is all the quarterback is the biggest pot of crop in the history of football, and we don't even understand why they do that. Do anybody understand why they build a narrative that the quarterback is in all? Because they can always take a team sport and they know that advertising and pushing the sport, you want to individualize it because more people are attached to an individual person than a group. Sports is just like a microcosm of society. Things are relatively the same. Same thing with singing groups. One time, everybody identified to a singing group. The Temptations, the New Edition, Sister Sled, the Brothers Johnson. People attach themselves to groups like they did before. The Cowboys, they could attach themselves to teams. Then they started doing a marketing things where they started saying, okay, we only attach to individuals. When they started attaching to individuals, guess what? When they started attaching themselves to individuals, what happened? When you start attaching yourself to individuals, attaching yourself to individuals, that's when people start leaving groups and becoming individual people. And that's where people started attaching themselves to be individual solo artists. And that's how things has gone on to be in football, in sports. It started in the 80s. If you look in the 80s, and I'm gonna say this in the 80s, and think about it, some of y'all might not be back in the 80s. But NBA started this thing with the NBA was struggling. And when Magic Johnson came into the NBA and Larry Bird, they switched their marketing from teams to saying they started switching their marketing to where they started saying Magic Johnson and the Los Angeles Lakers, Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics. To individualize that now with people kept staying with teams because free agent people was not changing teams. But in the market of free agency, that's why they want to promote players, individual players, and not teams, because of the fact when you got this in players, you do that because players are better to do that with, because of the fact people identify more when you do that with individual players. So then you start what they started doing when they started focusing on the Magic, and yes, they took the rivalry and they said, okay, let's start doing that. And then what they did from then on, they start finding the best player on every team, and that's what they said they'll promote the team based off that. And when free agency took over and came in, when players started moving teams even more, they said that strategy was better to promote, because no longer did teams stay together like in the NBA and like in Major League Baseball. One time, I used to be a Dodger fan because the Dodgers stayed together for 14 years. The Yankees stayed together for 20 years. The Cincinnati Reds stayed together for 11 years. Now players move, so they said the marketing strategy is better for us to promote the player than the team. But the teams that win keep that philosophy of sacrificing being teams. So let's go through before I go to my next topic, because this some of y'all questions make a lead in. But let's look at some of y'all stuff that y'all have been that y'all put out there, because I want to make sure we got to listen, man. Slim Cuddy 71. He said, Coach, I like seeing them using Hunter Lukey right in the passing game. Man, what a great comment. Moose Johnson caught just as many passes that Emmett. And when you put a fullback in the passing game, man, he's hard to tackle. And anytime you can get a bruising person out there that bangs on these defensive backs and make them hit them later on in the game, that's going to pay good dividends. And Lukey is going to get opportunities in space, as well as your running backs are going to get space. I need to see us throw the ball more to our running backs. They're going to get space. When you got two big dogs like Pickens and Lamb, it's going to give them more space. And they're going to make some good plays that's going to even enhance our offense. I don't want to see Dak. I want to see Dak. Listen, Tom Brady had one special characteristic. He would dink and dunk it to the running backs 10 times in a game, because he going to make you honor them. And then before you know it, he done threw 4 touchdowns to the wide receivers and the tight end. He's always going to take positive plays. And I'd rather see Dak take a positive play than an incompletion. Great comment. Great comment. Thank you. Hope you subscribe, man. That was a great comment. Yeah, this is a great comment as well. Yeah. I always said I always said as Cowboy fans, as content creators, and as well as, it's two things. Let's say it like this. Let's talk about the football coach wise. I always said, if a football coach and Schottenheimer, who's trying to his first year with being the head coach of this team, if you're trying to build a culture, and this is how I'm going to lead into this quote right here. But first, I'm talking about the football aspect. You must find the imposters. I think I posted this on Twitter maybe a year ago when Zimmer first got here, and I said we changed the philosophy. You got to find the imposters, because when you're changing culture, you're gonna find out there's gonna be some people that we think is good for culture, that what we're trying to the type of football we need to play. We gonna think that they're good, but they're not. We're gonna be some people we don't think is good, but they're gonna be better for the culture. And there's gonna be some people that's not gonna have the willingness to 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 conform to our culture. They're either not gonna have it or they're not gonna have the willingness to do it. So you got to find the imposters. Once you find the imposters as a coach, you can move forward and formulate the team where you can get everybody in there that you know that's gonna be enhanced in your culture. All right? You're gonna enhance your culture. So this comment is about our fans. Yes, we got to find the imposters in our fan base. Sometimes we are answering questions and lead into what people are saying and all that, but those ain't real fans. They're imposters. They're here to start confusion. So that's why when people start talking about Dak Prescott, I don't even. Some things is not even worth commenting on. So when we go back, when you have people going back over and forth about, I don't go back when people going back and forth about Terrence Steele. Terrence Steele ain't playing bad. Terrence Steele is still under the same thing where he's always been. He's been an undrafted free agent, and nobody wanted to give an undrafted free agent a reason to say that they can play in this league and play very well. But let him go. There's a whole lot of teams out there. I can guarantee you that teams are asking for Terrence Steele because of what fans saying. I can guarantee you that the Cowboys have been called to say, hey, we'll give you whoever you want. Give us Terrence Steele. Because his contract is friendly. And we're going to talk about contracts because we're going to kill another myth that somebody's talking about these contracts, about these defensive linemen. We're going to kill another myth that y'all are wait. Whoever started these rumors are going down the wrong road. But that was another great comment. Great cop. So that was another great comment, man. And I just wanted to some of the great comments and some of the people that's inside the building. Big Time Show. I don't know if they did their little show today. I hope to get back on their show with the OGs since I'm back. And but there was some great stuff, man, about finding the imposters, man. We got to find the imposters. Before I go to my next thing, I want to jump on something right quick because there was some other stuff that I wanted to address. Because when we got Quinn Williams, the first thing that somebody wanted to come up with, we got 3 defensive tackles at $20 million. Somebody gonna be released. Because we looking at average per year. And let me say this again. I'm gonna say this, and I've said it 100 times, but I don't think y'all listening. Take the guaranteed money, divide that by years. That's the real average per year. Osa's not making $20 million a year. And Osa just signed his contract with the Cowboys. The Cowboys make every contract that they sign, right, where they can adjust the contract each year, when they don't mess up their money, to drop the salary cap number every year and push the can down the road. He just started, so they can cut that number down easily next couple years. So that Quinn Williams is on a 2-year contract left. They can work his contract. Clark came to Dallas. Green Bay paid a lot of his money. His cap hit is very minimal the next couple of years. Listen, man. The Cowboys would not have made that move if it was going to put them in salary cap hell. They're in a good spot of salary cap. Listen, man, they're not making no moves that they're gonna be in salary cap. They already know that they can afford this guy. They would have made the move, they couldn't afford it. They already got a plan in place. That's why I always tell you, man, billionaires don't start thinking about stuff right off. They don't think in terms of the tomorrow. They thinking in terms of, listen, man, every billionaire is thinking in terms of 20 to 30 years from now. My broke butt thinking about tomorrow. If you want to know what the salary cap here, go on Spotify and see what and they'll tell you what the hit's gonna be. But all that can be adjusted. Listen, man, they all right. Dak's salary, they can drop it. They can kick the switch on and they can drop it down. Listen, man, CeeDee Lamb's contract they can drop. Tyler Smith, this side of the contract, they can kick the kicker on that. Listen, they can free up probably about $40-45 million in those 3-4 contracts. They're not exact. Why are we pushing the narrative they're gonna cut somebody? They don't need to. They would not made the trades if it wasn't not only draft picks, but Green Bay even paid about the contract. That makes it even better. Every play the clock makes, you got him with 2 picks, and they got some of his money. They made out like a mobster. And y'all don't see it, man. So don't follow. When you start hearing that, don't even follow that up, man. Don't even follow that up. Don't follow that up, man. Don't get caught up in that. Because what you're trying, reason why you should get caught up in that, because you're trying to manage and figure out billionaires' money. Duh. That's why I tell people about coaching. You know, I watch it from afar. But I can't coach that team. I can just see what I see, but I can't figure out coaching how they're coaching their team. That's why the guys sitting there, us sitting on the sideline or sitting on the armchair coaches, we can only give a general opinion. But we don't know what's going on, how stuff been practiced, what they see out of the player, what's been told, what technique is going, what play really has been called. We can only go on general, what we see. But we can't coach the team from the TV screen. I used to tell people that you can't coach my team from the stands. I need you every day if you're gonna coach them. And then you'll be able to see what I see, and you'll probably see that I told the person to do certain things and they didn't do it. So some of the stuff you already said has already been told to the players. So don't fall for that, man. What's the next thing? Let's go into this other topic. Let me share the screen. Now, I'm not going to talk about who needs to get the targets. I don't care, man. And listen, I want to say this about targets. And I'm going to say this about CeeDee Lamb. And I'm going to say this about George Pickens. And I know I'm going to get some hate when I say this. George Pickens is now probably going to have one of the best years of his career in year 4. CeeDee Lamb had years way better than that, 2 or 3 years. He has earned the right. Now, I understand we talking about hot, whatever, this and that, but he has earned the right to be a number 1. And I'm going to say this. I remember when he first got the number 1, and he had great games. And we still doubted him to be in number 1. I wish we could pull back the tape. games just like Pickens, and we still doubted it. And then Pickens come here, and we already sending him 5 or 6 games, number 1. I remember CeeDee Lamb had to answer them questions, and we had to talk about it. It was always under, is he a true number 1? It kept on saying it. We're putting a great season together. I remember that now. A lot of people don't act like they ain't gonna remember that. So pump your brakes on that. Because consistency is what makes you a number 1. And he put on some, the reason why he got his money is because he done put up superb years, that 3 or 4 years in a row. And I will say this too. We're giving him all the credit. But a lot of the credit need to go to Dak Prescott. Because every receiver around, when Dak say he throwing the ball to him, they done had some career years. Now you take a talented guy like Pickens with some talent, and it looks even bigger. But Dak Prescott, because CeeDee Lamb did some good stuff, put up some good numbers with a backup quarterback. And there's no shade at Pickens, but we say he couldn't do nothing because he ain't had no quarterback in Pittsburgh. Let it play out. And yes, if it comes down to a crucial play, I'm going to God dog on CeeDee Lamb because he's earned that. See, we going to this flash in the pan type stuff. And it's the same thing, man. And I say this, and I know people are going to get mad when I say this. This is the same scenario with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. And I say it the same way. Ezekiel earned his right to be there. And I just don't want to I don't want this for us to keep harping on. I think no other team goes and counts the targets of 2 guys. No other team does no stupid stuff like that. Not a team that you're trying to get over the hump that plays together as a team. Because what you're doing is building individuality inside a team. And you cause a mess. The same thing that we said that is distracting us from winning, we cause it. Yeah, it's good. But the real football people that care about winning and all the things, they don't want to hear all that mess. Because when it boils down to it, we got to get the play made. Got to get the play made. And I understand with these high, strong guys, they're already competitive. But we keep doing this. When it does get in a tight spot and one person doesn't make the play, whoever the ball goes to, guess what we're going to have? Controversy. And know who's going to fall back on? Your quarterback. And it's going to be our own fault for that bullshit. I'm telling you. Why your quarterback didn't go to that guy? Or why he didn't go to this guy? See what I'm saying? We don't need that. We already got enough of that. Dak got enough of that. Whoever he decided to go to, because it's in his hands. And I can tell you this. Dak has been there long enough. There ain't no play call that's telling Dak where to go with the ball. That's Dak's decision. Just like it's Brady's, Just like it's Patrick Mahomes, Dak has earned the right with any coaching staff. And I believe Schottenheimer again. So let's not make it a competition about who shines. Let the Cowboys shine. Because see, that competition of shine in Philly is going to destroy a good damn thing. Watch what I tell you. Now, like it. Well, the record good, but watch what I tell you now. And the crumble is going to start this week. Y'all can say what you want, but if we come out focused as a team, we going to beat the living crap out of them. Watch what I tell you. And it's going to be enough punch to cause them to wobble for a long time. Because it's going to enhance all those problems. Now, a couple things I want to share to the screen, man. A couple of ones to share to the screen. Listen, I'm not badgering. I'm not telling nobody nothing. I just want, like, hey, listen. I'm not badgering. I know some people going to say, well, man, coach, you're getting on people. No, man. Football first, not individuality. This team is, man, done lived off that individual. And I can tell you, we go individuality is going to always come back to Dak Prescott. Dak is making the decision with the football. He likes Pickens. He's finding what makes Pickens rock. But he needs to let the guys that run a game. He still needs to go to Ferguson. He still needs to throw the ball to the running backs. He needs to give Flournoy some passes because all these guys, we're not talking about them doing major things, but keep them in their roles, Dak. And he will serve you the best. Couple more things. Let's see if I can share my screen right quick again for a couple more things. I'm going to go back to some of the things that I always talk about when I talk about winning. Now I talk about winning. Y'all know when I talk about winning, we got to pay the fee to win games, to wins. The fee. Y'all talk about, when you go out to a restaurant, when you go out to something, there's a cost, there's a fee that you have to pay to get in. Or if you go into an event or a place, there's a fee that you got to pay to get in the door. There's a fee that you got to pay. But to wins, there's a fee that you got to play to win. And that fee is focus, effort, and execution. This is built with consistency. Going back to my word again. If you're in life, there's a fee for you to be successful. Now, if somebody told you that you could be a star and be very famous if you paid $400 a month, how many of y'all will probably do it? And then you can get star status and make big money, but you can have star status. And you had to pay $400 a month. Well, how many of y'all would do it? Some of y'all would do it. A lot of y'all would do it. But if I told you you need to be successful in whatever you do, you had to pay this per month, per day, per month. How many would pay this? How many would pay to be focused? How many would pay to have great effort? How many would say to execute that effort? Whatever plan I have to execute it. That's the fee that you have to pay. And if the Cowboys have to pay, we got to be focused. That's what the consistency is. To be physical, right? To play smart, to play fast. And we got to have great effort. Tackling. The tackling on the outside, on the way, we got to attack AJ Brown, their running back. Every time Hurts run the ball, I want to see him get hit. And then we got to execute. Execution. We got to pay to feed people to win games. This is part of consistency. If we can start paying this fee every week with a consistent basis, man, we got a shot to turn this thing around. I'm liking that we're playing tough teams every week because we can't lose focus when we're playing Philly. We can't lose. Our team ain't gonna lose focus. The next game is Kansas City. We ain't gonna lose focus when we go to Detroit, knowing our history with Detroit in Detroit. We ain't gonna lose focus because we understand that we got to pay the fee and have focus, effort, and execution against those type teams. And I want to see that come this week. There's another. Let me see if I can get back to where I was at. Y'all got to hold with me, man. I mean, no, I'm not that. I ain't computer savvy at all, man. I be trying to get to be computer savvy. Um, Let me see when we get back to the screen. Hold on with me here now. All right. The next thing. This next slide that I want to make sure that y'all see. To win games, I'm gonna go back to this again. Look at our games this year. Look at all our games this year. This is a very big key of winning our games. If we can win these 4 battles, I feel good about us winning every game this run. There's gonna be some games that we don't win these 4 battles, and we got to have a way to find a way to win. No, Philly don't win all these battles, but they find a way to win. That's a mark of a good team. That don't mean they're playing well, but it's a mark of a good team to find ways to win, not ways to lose. But the turnover battle, remember in the first game, the turnover battle was even. No, we lost the turnover battle. And that one turnover on the 11-yard line turned to be the one we lost. Explosive plays. Hurts made a lot of explosive plays with his legs last game. We going to surround him. We got the defensive lineman now that guys don't have to go inside. They can stay in their lanes and work up to the quarterback. We don't have to get out of our lanes. And we can stop some of the explosive battles. And I think Pickens and Lamb are going to make those explosive battles, those explosive plays. We got to control the explosive plays because they're going to try to throw the ball deep. If we take the deep routes away from them, we just got to rally to the football. Penalty battle. They lost the penalty battle last game, but we got to be more focused so we win the penalty battle. And then the elephant and physicality battle. I told you we got to bring the physicality. If we win these 4 battles, we're more talented people. We pay the fee. We do these 4 battles. Our defensive secondary comes to be able to be. Our back end comes to bust heads. We should win by 2 touchdowns. Yes, Philadelphia's defense is pretty good, but I believe it can be broken down. I believe we can attack their safeties. Blankenship is a attackable person in that defense. But play action is going to be the key. These 4 battles, watch them during this game. these are very big battles, man. These four battles are very key to us winning, man. Um, it's a very key thing for us to win. Um, we hadn't changed nothing. Hey, Miss Charles, how you doing? Hey, listen here. This is I feel privileged. I feel privileged that I finally got Miss Charles in here on the live screen. I'm glad you came in, Miss Charles. Thank you so much. Let me tell you something. Miss Charles, you're always um, on our lives. Your donations, your telling people to do certain things, your your commentary. We want to, as Cowboy content, I know a lot of them, but I'm not, we want to thank you so much because with people that support you like you and your always positive outlook to the Cowboys. And that is something that we need. This is people when I talk about imposters, Miss Charles is not an imposter. Miss Charles is a real true Cowboy fan. And I appreciate her and her support, man. Thank you so much, Miss Charles. Really appreciate your support, man. And let's give a in the chat. Let's give a round of applause to Miss Charles. Let's give her a salute. Let's give it a wave and salute to Miss Charles in the chat because everybody see her on everybody's show. Let's give her a salute and said, man, for what she has done for to be in this in our midst and in the content world, man, on everybody's channel, man. We really appreciate Miss Charles and her things that she's done for the Cowboy Nation, man. And it's perfectly, man, that she's come in and I'm back. I'm back, man. I'm back, and I'm gonna talk about the same things. Let me remember I say this as I close. There ain't nothing changed. I listen. I got these when I'm in this with him. Y'all know when I came in here, right? I showed this thing about sacrifice. I had shows where I talked about this. The structure does not change. Wherever the players is, it does not change. These are the essentials that we need to win football games. It ain't the flash. It ain't how many times we get picked. It ain't how much we pay players. I ain't never seen a contract win money. I mean win games. I ain't never seen a contract win games. Only thing a contract does is buy cars and clothes and houses and stocks and bonds. But between those white lines, it don't snap no ball. It don't make no tackles. It don't make no catches, and it don't block nobody. It don't break no tackles. As I used to tell my players, all that other stuff you do outside the field, all that clapping, all that getting hyped, all that stuff has nothing to do with blocking and tackling inside the white lines. And this team needed sacrifice to play inside the white lines. I ain't changed about stuff I've talked about. I talked about this. Commitment to the running game. As we commit to our running game, as we get into December, it's Thanksgiving, yes, our running backs need to have 25, 30 carries. Yes, Dak can still have his passes. He still will hit CeeDee Lamb and Pickens in it, but they need that. Our offensive line gets in their groove. Like I said, that what makes them rock. Laying on people. You put Terrence Steele, let him get out there, get out to people. You ain't got to worry about no pass rush. You let Terrence Steele go out there and start putting his hands on people and drive blocking and finishing people. Then you ain't got to worry about pass blocking because he in this groove. It ain't changed. I could be gone, but when I come back, it's not going to change with the philosophy that this team needs. Physicality. Let's get more physical on defense. Consistency. It ain't changed. It ain't changed when I talked about this. It didn't change. We already in the season. We got to trust. These players got to trust and go ahead because ain't no switching up now. We got to ride. We got to get there and ride with it. I ain't changed. Listen, I had changed when I said this. When I said we need a physical presence to our offense look better when we got a physical presence. We playing play action passes. When Dak is under center coming out there and faking that ball and then going down the field, ain't nothing better. But you only gonna get that with a physical presence. If we're gonna make this run against good teams, everything I'm putting on this screen, we got to do these things. Because these are the things that win against good football teams. This wins against good football teams. Complementary football. Complementary balanced offense. A mixture of zone and man on defense. Blitzes. Rallying to the football. Being balanced in the pass and the run defense. All of these fall under the word consistent identity culture. It's time for it to start to grow. I ain't changed. These things are always are in there. I have not changed what I'm said that we need. Again, I talked about at the beginning of this year the parts of the culture we needed. Physicality. And then after physicality, I said, we need number 2. What was number 2? We needed discipline. We need to start cutting down on our penalties. We did this game because we was in a roll for penalties. But if you start playing consistent and start doing things at a fast pace and consistent basis, you're going to start being less undisciplined. If you make yourself the alpha in the game early in the game, you're not going to get those petty holding calls. Then I said the number 3, which has been our failing grace that's been holding us back from being consistent. What was number 3? This has been holding us back. We are not a mentally tough football team. This is when you stop. Non-mentally tough football teams don't win back-to-back games. They don't go on 5 or 6 game winning streaks because sometimes you're not playing well, but you're mentally tough to get through. It's time for this to change, people. This is where we need to be putting pressure on them. These things, physicality, about discipline, about mental toughness. Damn all this talk about who's getting this and who's getting that. Let's talk about the team. Time for this leadership, this coaching and this leadership. I see what Quentin Williams is coming here trying to do some leadership, but it's time for this leadership on this team to talk about sacrifice and doing the things that we need to do to win games and get back in this race. These was the cultural building blocks. They have not changed. And the last, we have done a great job. We have brought in a linebacker and got defensive linebackers back, getting defensive backs back, brought a dominate defensive tackle. We got talent. It's time to rock and roll, but we got to build consistency for this to work. Coach Marv ain't changed. I could be off 3-4 weeks. I could be off a month, a year. It ain't changed. Football ain't changed. Winning mentalities hadn't changed. There's a certain way to go about winning. There's a certain way to go about winning. And we got to do it that way. As I always say, man, thank y'all so much for hanging out with a brother, man. Y'all don't know how much y'all give me what name? If I know it's in the bottom half of the screen, but if you want to support the channel, I'm still trying to get myself together so I can start getting super chats. I don't know how I'm gonna get these super chats over in here, but you can do super chats. I will see them, but that would be great if you do super chats in my algorithms or into the if you got the super chats, that would be great. But if you want to support the channel and you just want us to directly, but again, my cash app is PBS 222. And I will say this. Today is my 34th year anniversary of being a Phi Beta Sigma man. So 34 years ago, I crossed the sands to be into Phi Beta Sigma, and today is my Sigma anniversary, and one of the best decisions I made in my life. It's one of the craziest decisions I made in my life. I decided to pledge and go online while playing football during the football season. That was probably one of the dumbest moves I made in my life to try to put myself through that. But hey, when I get into a tough situation, I always say I pledge. And we know people don't pledge now. We're a non-pledging organization, but that was back in that day, and people don't do that thing. And I respect all brothers that come through that decide to be a part of something. I'm a part of Phi Beta Sigma. I'm a part of the Dallas Cowboy community, but I'm part of being a man of God first. And that is what's giving me. He has given me this platform to be able to express and talk and to and release some steam and try to give over some of the things that I've learned doing being coach and coaching that I know that are essential to win without being derogatory or really messed up on people. And listen, we may have a different opinion, but our voice does matter. We may differ on certain things, but our voice does matter. And we always and we do these things that we talked about. I can't guarantee you no wins. Nobody can guarantee wins in football. But if we don't do these things, I can very much kind of almost guarantee that we're gonna not have success. And in the football, the only thing you want to do is block the best, tackle the best, and improve your chances of winning. And if you improve your chances of winning, you have a better chance of winning. Again, I thank y'all for being with me. I thank you for hanging with old coach. Again, for all the people who came in here, man, for all the comments I've gotten, all the people, even my special friend, she's been in here. She came in here. Miss Ginger, she came in here, and I really appreciate all y'all people, man, for coming here, man. Love and respect for Miss Charles and Tyrone Church, man. Thank you so much, Church. And all the other guys that come into this thing, man. Thank you so much for coming in, man, and supporting me, man, in this journey, man. It's very good, man, when you see guys that have done content and have a staple into this community come in and support you, and you know you're in this community and doing that, and that's really pretty, and that's really important to me. And they know I'm gonna come out and support everybody and do what I can, and I'm not gonna be controversial with a lot of people. I'm just gonna state how I feel, and that's it. I'm not gonna go back and forth because we'll see it in the end. But let's go get these Eagles. 2 touchdown victory this week. That's what I'm planning on. I'm thinking, and I don't usually give no score of a victim, but I think we're gonna score 40 points. We're gonna get some turnovers. They're gonna turn the ball over, but I think we're gonna put up 40. I'm looking for a 41-14, 41-17 victory. And coach don't usually say that type of stuff, but I don't want it to be a spark. I want it to be a identity of how we play. I don't want nothing to be flash in the pan because I understand to get to where we need to go, we need to do the things we need to do. Stayed over my time. Got some things I need to get done. But salute to all of y'all. Thank you so much for rocking with old Coach Marv. And to, like I said, to the Cowboy Nation, to the Cowboy fans, to the Cowboy coaches and the Cowboy players. Go back to my saying, and I've said it, say I'm going to start at the beginning of the season. Get your mind on your work. Say it again. Cowboy players and Cowboy coaches, get your mind on your work. Pay the fee. Focus, effort, and execution. Until next time, salute.